They thought they were clever. They thought I'd never find out. They were wrong on both counts. My name is Jake, and for 42 years, I believed in simple things. Hard work, loyalty, and the people you love having your back. I spent my days managing construction crews, building things that would last, creating something solid in a world that seemed increasingly fragile. I thought I was building the same thing with Lisa and Tom. Lisa came into my life 3 years ago at a friend's barbecue. She had this laugh that could light up a room, and a smile that made you forget whatever you were worried about. She worked in marketing for a tech company. Always sharp, always put together, everything I wasn't. But somehow, we clicked. She said she loved how grounded I was, how I didn't play games or put on airs. I thought I found my person. Tom had been my best friend for 15 years. We met on a job site when he was doing electrical work for one of my projects. The guy could fix anything, talk his way out of any situation, and always had my back when things got tough. He was the brother I never had, the kind of friend you call at 3 in the morning when life falls apart. The three of us became inseparable. Weekend barbecues, holiday gatherings, double dates when Tom was seeing someone. Lisa and Tom got along great. Maybe too great, but I was happy my two favorite people liked each other. What could go wrong with that picture? The changes started small. Lisa began working later, taking more business trips. Tom started showing up to our group hangouts with insights about my relationship that seemed a little too perceptive. He'd make comments about how I should treat Lisa better, how I didn't appreciate what I had. I brushed it off as friend advice, maybe even felt grateful that he cared enough to speak up. Then there were the glances. You know the ones, those split-second looks between two people who share a secret. I'd catch them sometimes during dinner, or when we were all watching a movie. When I'd ask what was funny, they'd just smile and change the subject. My gut kept whispering that something was off, but my brain kept making excuses. The breaking point came on a Thursday evening in October. Lisa had left for what she said was a 3-day conference in Denver. She'd kissed me goodbye, told me she'd miss me, and promised to call every night. Tom had mentioned he was feeling under the weather and planned to spend the weekend recuperating. Friday evening, I was driving past Tom's apartment complex on my way to grab dinner when I saw a car I recognized. Lisa's silver Honda was parked in the visitor section, 3 spaces down from where Tom usually parked his truck. For a moment, I thought I was seeing things. Lisa was supposed to be in Denver. The car looked like hers, but it couldn't be hers. I parked and walked closer. Same license plate. Same dent in the rear bumper from when she'd backed into a post at the grocery store. My heart started hammering against my ribs, like it was trying to break free. Tom had given me a spare key to his place years ago, back when I was helping him move furniture and needed access while he was at work. I'd forgotten I still had it, until that moment, when I found myself standing outside his door with shaking hands. I should have knocked. I should have called. I should have done anything except what I did next. The key turned silently, and I pushed the door open, just enough to step inside. The living room was empty, but I could hear voices coming from the bedroom. Lisa's laugh, the same one that used to make me smile, followed by Tom's voice, saying something I couldn't quite make out. I moved closer, each step feeling like I was walking toward the edge of a cliff. The bedroom door was cracked open, and through that narrow gap, I saw everything I needed to see. Lisa was there, wearing one of Tom's shirts and nothing else, curled up against him on the bed, while he played with her hair. But it wasn't just the physical betrayal that destroyed me. It was what they were saying. Tom was talking about how clueless I was, how I never suspected anything, even when they'd been meeting up for months right under my nose. Lisa was laughing about how easy it was to lie about her work trips, how I never questioned anything because I trusted her completely. She called me boring, predictable, said I was like a loyal dog who'd wait by the door no matter how badly he was treated. Tom agreed, adding that he almost felt sorry for me, but not sorry enough to stop what they were doing. They'd been together for 8 months. 8 months of lies, of looking me in the eye and pretending to care about me while planning their secret life together. They talked about their future like I was already out of the picture, discussing when and how they'd tell me, laughing about how heartbroken I'd be. I backed out of that apartment like I was sleepwalking, got in my truck and drove home in complete silence, my mind trying to process what I'd just witnessed. The 2 people I trusted most in the world had been systematically destroying my life while pretending to be my support system. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my kitchen, drinking coffee and thinking, not about what I'd lost, but about what I knew about both of them that they probably wished I didn't. See, when you're close to someone for years, you learn their secrets, the things they're ashamed of, the corners they've cut, the lies they've told other people. Tom had been skimming money from his electrical contracting business, underreporting his income to avoid taxes for the past 5 years. He'd bragged about it to me, called it being smart with money. Lisa came from a very conservative, religious family who disowned her sister for much less than having an affair with her boyfriend's best friend. She'd spent years carefully managing her image with them, playing the role of the perfect daughter who'd found a stable, honest man to settle down with. Her parents had started asking about marriage, about grandchildren. They'd even started including me in family photos. By Monday morning, I'd made my decision. I wasn't going to confront them, wasn't going to give them the chance to gaslight me or make excuses. I was going to let their choices have consequences. I started with Tom. I'd kept copies of some documents from when I'd helped him organize his business records years ago. I'd seen the discrepancies then, but hadn't thought much of it. Figured it was just sloppy bookkeeping. Now I realized it was deliberate fraud. I made an anonymous tip to the IRS, providing them with enough information to start an investigation. I included dates, approximate amounts, and suggested they look at his business bank statements versus his reported income. I didn't have to lie or exaggerate. I just pointed them toward the truth Tom had been hiding. For Lisa, I took a different approach. I called her mother. Mrs. Patterson had always liked me, said I was the kind of man she'd prayed her daughter would find. During our conversation, I mentioned how worried I was about Lisa, how she'd been working so much lately, traveling constantly, seeming stressed and distant. I said I was concerned she might be overwhelmed, or possibly getting involved with the wrong crowd at work. I suggested maybe her mother should call Lisa more often, check in on her, maybe even surprise her with a visit, plant the seed of parental concern, and let nature take its course. Then I waited. The first domino fell on a Wednesday. Tom called me, panic in his voice, asking if I knew anything about tax investigators, asking questions about his business. He said someone had reported him for tax evasion, and he couldn't figure out who would do such a thing. The fear in his voice was unmistakable. I played the concerned friend perfectly. Told him I was sure it was just a misunderstanding, that honest people had nothing to worry about. I even offered to help him find a good tax attorney. Really sold the supportive best friend act. The second domino took a little longer. Lisa's mother started calling her more frequently, asking detailed questions about her work, her travel schedule, wanting to know more about the projects that kept taking her away so often. Lisa, caught off guard by the sudden maternal attention, started contradicting herself. Mrs. Patterson, being the sharp woman she was, began to smell something fishy. She decided to surprise Lisa with a visit during one of her supposed work trips. Showed up at Lisa's apartment on a Saturday afternoon and found it empty. No signs that Lisa had been away on business at all. That's when Lisa's carefully constructed house of cards began tumbling down. Her mother confronted her, demanding to know where she'd really been all those weekends. Lisa, rattled and unprepared, made the mistake of mentioning Tom's name one too many times while trying to explain herself. Mrs. Patterson, being the protective mother she was, decided to do some investigating of her own. It didn't take long for her to piece together what was really happening. When she learned that Tom was my best friend, that Lisa had been carrying on an affair behind my back, the religious fury that followed was biblical in its scope. Lisa called me crying, begging me to talk to her parents, to help her explain that it wasn't what it looked like. She still hadn't figured out that I knew everything. I told her I'd think about what I could do to help, that family situations were complicated, and maybe she should focus on working things out directly with them. Meanwhile, Tom's situation was getting worse by the day. The IRS investigation had expanded, and he'd had to hire an expensive attorney. His business was being audited, his personal finances scrutinized. The stress was eating him alive, and he started making mistakes, getting sloppy, which only made things worse for him. The beautiful part was watching them turn on each other. Tom blamed Lisa for somehow exposing him, convinced that her family's sudden involvement had led to increased scrutiny of their relationship and, by extension, his finances. Lisa blamed Tom for being reckless with his business, said his illegal activities were going to ruin both their lives. Their secret relationship, built on deception and sustained by the thrill of betrayal, couldn't survive the pressure of real consequences. They started fighting, accusing each other of being selfish, of not really caring about the relationship they'd destroyed my life to pursue. The final act came when Lisa's father, a deacon at their church, decided that the family's reputation needed to be protected. He made it clear that Lisa was no longer welcome at family gatherings, that her actions had brought shame on everyone who shared her name. Her mother, torn between love for her daughter and disappointment in her choices, sided with her husband. Lisa found herself cut off from the family support system she'd taken for granted her entire life. No more family dinners, no more holiday celebrations, no more financial safety net when times got tough. She'd traded a stable relationship and a loving family for a secret affair with a man who was now facing potential jail time. Tom, meanwhile, was looking at serious legal consequences. Tax evasion isn't a slap-on-the-wrist offense, especially when it's been going on for years and involves significant amounts of money. His business was in ruins, his savings were going to legal fees, and his reputation in the industry was destroyed. The stress broke both of them. Lisa started showing up at my work, trying to talk to me, to explain herself. She'd figured out that I knew, though she never quite understood, how long I'd known or what role I'd played in her downfall. She begged me to forgive her, said she'd made a terrible mistake, that she missed what we had. Tom tried a different approach. He got angry, accused me of somehow sabotaging him, though he couldn't prove anything. He said our friendship meant nothing to me if I could just stand by and watch his life fall apart. The irony was apparently lost on him. I listened to both of them with the same calm patience I'd shown throughout the entire ordeal. I told Lisa that betrayal had consequences, that actions had ripple effects she hadn't considered. I told Tom that dishonesty eventually catches up with everyone, that maybe this was an opportunity for him to start living honestly for the first time in years. Neither of them ever got a confession from me. They suspected, but they couldn't prove anything, and frankly, I didn't care if they knew. I hadn't lied to anyone, hadn't falsified anything, hadn't done anything except allow the truth to surface in places where it mattered. 6 months later, I made a decision that surprised everyone, including myself. I sold my house, left the construction company where I'd worked for over a decade, and moved 3 states away. Started fresh in a new city where nobody knew my story, where I could build something new without the shadows of betrayal following me around. It wasn't running away. It was choosing to start over in a place where trust hadn't been weaponized against me. I found work with a smaller construction firm, made new friends who didn't come with 15 years of history and hidden agendas. I even started dating again, though I took things much slower this time, paid attention to red flags I'd missed before. The last I heard, Tom had pled guilty to tax evasion and was serving a short jail sentence, followed by years of probation and restitution payments. His business was gone, his reputation destroyed, his financial future mortgaged to pay for his mistakes. Lisa had moved back in with her parents temporarily while she tried to rebuild her life, though the relationship remained strained. She'd lost most of our mutual friends, who couldn't understand how she could have betrayed someone who'd loved her so completely. The life she thought she wanted with Tom had evaporated under the pressure of real-world consequences. Looking back, I don't feel guilty about what happened to them. I didn't destroy their lives. I simply stopped protecting them from the natural consequences of their choices. Tom's tax evasion would have caught up with him eventually. I just accelerated the timeline. Lisa's deception would have unraveled under parental scrutiny sooner or later. I just made sure her mother was paying attention. They thought they could build happiness on a foundation of betrayal, that their love was worth destroying someone else's trust. They learned the hard way that relationships built on lies don't survive contact with the truth. Sometimes people ask me if I regret not fighting for Lisa, not trying to win her back or work things out. The answer is simple. You can't fight for someone who was never really yours to begin with. Lisa had checked out of our relationship 8 months before I found out, probably longer. I just refused to be the last one to know. The experience taught me that betrayal doesn't just break hearts. It destroys the foundation of trust we build our lives on. But it also taught me that sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. Sometimes it's simply stepping aside and letting people face the consequences of their choices. I'm happier now than I was during those last months with Lisa, when I was sensing something was wrong, but couldn't put my finger on what. The uncertainty, the constant feeling that I was missing something important, the way they both made me feel like I was crazy for noticing the changes in their behavior, all of that is gone now. In my new city, I've built relationships based on honesty from the start. I've learned to trust my instincts, to pay attention when something feels off, to value people who show up consistently rather than those who just know the right things to say. Tom and Lisa got exactly what they deserved. Each other, at least until the pressure broke them apart. They'd wanted a relationship built on secrets and lies, and they got one. They just learned too late that such relationships don't survive in the light of day. As for me, I got something better than revenge. I got freedom from people who didn't deserve my trust, and the opportunity to build something real with people who do. Sometimes the best victory isn't destroying your enemies. It's walking away and building a better life without them. They thought they were clever. They thought they could have their cake and eat it too, keep me as their safety net while they explored their grand passion. They were wrong on both counts, and in the end, that's all the revenge I needed.